before we start to work, how would you like a nice cup of tea?
Oh, I'd love one.
You would?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy.
In 1943, at the age of 15, I sat in the Prince of Wales Theatre in London and saw a sort of showcase review of unknown talent called Strike a New Note. The sensation of the youth on parade was an overnight success called Sid Field. For youth, read Knocking 40. For overnight success, read 30 years hard labour in provincial variety halls. I went back a dozen times to watch London's Discovery, playing his audiences like a violin. But there's seldom been a better case for the phrase, you just had to be there. It was Sid Field who coined the catchphrase, what a performance! And he had a tremendous influence on post-war comics, but little of his work remains today. Film failed to capture his personal magic, and TV came too late. But it's worth a sample from his gallery of dodgy but lovable characters, because none was more innocently, helplessly camp than his matronly host, fussily entertaining and equally arch Jerry Desmond.
I say, Sidney.
Yes?
Can I come and help you?
No, really, dear boy. Lovely of you to ask. Thanks so much.
Oh, I know. A jolly good idea.
Do tell me.
Let me cut the bread and butter.
No, really, too. It's already cut and the butter's wiped on.
I'd never watched a Sid Field film until recently, and I could see that he'd influenced Larry Grayson with all the touching of the hair and the whole thing, and that I grew up watching Larry Grayson, so it would have reached me somehow.
It's how I looked at Mr. Humphreys, Sid Field. He's an auntie, he's comfortable, he's really quite nice. He's effeminate, but many men are.
I say, what do you think of the weather?
Oh, dreadful.
How changeable, isn't it? Don't know what to wear, do you?
No, you really don't.
You've been keeping all right, have you?
Yes, thank you.
I like it because, you know, it's the exaggerated feminine side, and it's not like women are, but it's like an exaggeration of women played by men, I suppose.
I love a nice strong cut, don't you?
Yes, please.
Forgive me pouring that way, only I used to work on the railway.
Oh, you'd never.
I think it's very specifically camp. I think that's what he's setting out to do, you know, and I think he's setting out to parody effete behaviour. And he does it extremely well.
Do you know, Whittaker, really, I've never been the same since my last operation.
Oh, you poor soul. Was it serious?
Serious, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
14 weeks on my back with my leg up.
Oh, really, that's dreadful. Were you stitched?
Well, I certainly wasn't crocheted.
Sid Field. He did have an influence on Larry Grayson, who was to become perhaps the quintessential camp comic of the TV age. Larry was the Hamlet of hypochondria, the Larry Olivier of lassitude, the father of the Fae. When Larry caught a cold, he limped.
You know, I don't know how I've walked from the dressing room to here. My back is killing me. Because I'm not well at the best of times, you see. No, I'm not. We're going to have a giddy. No. I'm not well. I've got my hot flushes coming on me again. Time of the year. But you see, the thing is, you see, I've got the worms as well again.
Dear Larry, limper than a filleted lettuce leaf. And no matter how close to the wind he sometimes sailed, his essential sweetness of nature and obvious best intentions protected him from giving offence. Like Sid Field, Larry's finesse derived from arduous years in tatty variety, low-salaried concert parties and small-town pantos. There he saw other performers overdoing campery to the point of crudeness, and that resulted in Larry's withdrawal from explicit material and his adoption of a more subtle style. Then a serious illness in 1970 nearly finished him off, and that brush with death gave him the final touch of insouciance. He once told me, it's all style and attitude with me now, Bob. I let the audience make up their own jokes. He seemed like a nice boy, and he was.
Well, I'm worn out before I start.
He would actually, you'd ring the front doorbell, you'd open the door and he'd go, oh, thank God you're in. Oh, I feel dreadful, I'll have to sit down. It was for real, a lot of that, you know.
My mother... We're going to have a giddy again. I think it's the brown bread. No, my mother...
He was very strictly brought up by a lady who was his sister stroke aunt, really, because he was adopted at an early age. So there was no great male influence there. and everything was to do with Fiery Jack and Win Carnis and Ovaltine, and everything was domestic and warm.
Well, you see, I hadn't got my ointment, because I have this special ointment, you see, to rub on. I can't get Fiery Jack, but I got this special ointment. I lost his address anyway, and...
He brought a lot of his sort of, what shall I say, parlour sayings that he would say in someone's house to the stage.
And immediately endeared himself to the large proportion of his audience that was made up of ladies of a certain age. And they were blue-rinsed, and they adored it.
So I went on the Thursday, because I always go to the laundrette on the Thursday. And it's near there, you see, in Canal Street. Well, number 35, if you'd like to go. But anyway, I went.
The great thing about someone like Grayson was that incredible timing. I mean, from 40-odd years of, you know, doing these dreadful tours and awful sort of summer seasons and whatever, I mean, he had learnt... I mean, he could do things with just a look, or just a touch of his hair about, you know, must wash my hair or whatever, that just made you laugh. I mean, his timing was extraordinary.